What happens when one of the greatest rock bands of all time decides to reunite in secret? For the Eagles, it involved a mix of nostalgia and unexpected drama. This wasn't just any get-together. It included peyote-fueled nights in the Mojave Desert, a wild tale behind their legendary name, and an impromptu performance at a Disneyland concert. And it's beyond imagination that a fiery argument and a significant member exit were all part of the mix. These are the incredible stories of what truly unfolded at the Eagles' hidden reunion. Eagles' story began in 1971, when the talented Linda Ronstadt and her manager, John Boylan, were on the lookout for some fresh talent. They recruited Glenn Frey, a musician from Michigan, and Don Henley, a drummer from Texas, to join their band. Henley had moved to Los Angeles with his band Shiloh to record an album, and Frey had formed his own band called Long Branch Penny Whistle. They both ended up signing with the same record label, Amos Records, and crossed paths at the Troubadour, a famous music club in Los Angeles. It wasn't long before Frey and Henley realized they shared a musical connection. While on tour with Ronstadt, they hatched a plan to form their own band. Ronstadt, being the cool cat she was, suggested they bring in Bernie Leadon, a veteran musician from the Flying Burrito Brothers. They also recruited Randy Meisner, a bassist who had played with Ricky Nelson's Stone Canyon Band. These four musicians played together as Ronstadt's backing band on her summer tour, but they only performed live as a quartet once, at a Disneyland concert in July 1971. However, all four of them appeared on Ronstadt's self-titled album, showcasing their talent and chemistry. There was even talk of adding another musician, J.D. Souther, to the mix, but Meisner wasn't on board with the idea. Regardless, the four musicians were determined to make their mark on the music scene. In September 1971, they signed with Asylum Records, a new label started by David Geffen. Geffen saw potential in this talented group and even bought out their contracts with Amos Records. He then sent them to Aspen, Colorado to hone their sound and develop as a band. Still without a name, the band played their first gig in October 1971 at a club in Aspen, using the moniker Teen King and the Emergencies. The name Eagles wasn't just plucked from the air. It emerged during a wild night in the Mojave Desert, fueled by peyote and tequila. The details of how the name came to be are a bit hazy, with different band members recalling different versions. Don Felder, who wasn't even there that night, heard from Bernie Leadon that it was inspired by the Hopi tribe's reverence for eagles. Others, like J.D. Souther, remember Glenn Frey shouting, "Eagles!" when they saw a few soaring overhead. But hold on, there's another twist to this tale. Steve Martin, the comedian and a friend of the band, claims he suggested adding "the" before Eagles, but Frey insisted the band's name was simply Eagles. It's a bit of a rock and roll mystery, adding to the band's mystique. Regardless of who gets the credit, the name Eagles stuck, and the band soared to incredible heights. Their debut album, recorded in England in 1972 with producer Glyn Johns, was a major breakthrough. Johns was blown away by their harmonious vocals, helping them shape their signature country rock sound with those soaring harmonies. Their first single, "Take It Easy," a song co-written by Frey and his neighbor Jackson Browne, became a massive hit. With its catchy melody and laid-back vibe, it perfectly captured the spirit of California country rock and launched the Eagles into the musical stratosphere. With "Take It Easy" soaring up the charts, the Eagles were flying high. But their next album, Desperado, took a different route. This time, they drew inspiration from the Wild West, comparing the lives of outlaws to modern-day rock stars. It was a concept album, with each song telling a story about life on the frontier. During the recording sessions for Desperado, a songwriting duo was born, Don Henley and Glenn Frey. They teamed up to write 8 of the album's 11 tracks, including the iconic Tequila Sunrise and the heartfelt ballad Desperado. These songs would become some of the Eagles' most beloved classics, showcasing their ability to blend storytelling with catchy melodies. But despite the strong songwriting, Desperado didn't match the success of their debut album. It only reached number 41 on the charts, and the two singles released, Tequila Sunrise and Outlaw Man, didn't crack the top 40. However, these songs would later become fan favorites, often played on classic rock radio stations. This album marked a turning point for the Eagles. Henley and Frey's songwriting partnership became the driving force behind the band's sound, and their leadership within the group grew stronger. Initially, it was assumed that Bernie Lidon and Randy Meisner, the more experienced musicians, would have a greater influence. But Henley and Frey's creative vision and songwriting prowess ultimately took center stage. With their third album, On the Border, Henley and Frey decided it was time for the Eagles to spread their wings and fly away from their country rock roots. They wanted a harder, edgier sound, so they initially brought in Glyn Johns, who had produced their first two albums. But Johns, known for his mellower touch, wasn't quite the right fit for this new direction. After recording only 2 songs, the band decided to switch things up and bring in Bill Szymczyk as the producer. Szymczyk, with his rock and roll sensibility, wanted to add a guitarist with a bit more bite to the mix. They remembered Don Felder, a friend of Bernie Lidon's, who had jammed with them backstage a few years earlier. Frey had nicknamed Felder Fingers during that jam session, a nod to his impressive guitar skills. In January 1974, Frey called up Felder to add some slide guitar to the song Good Day in Hell. The band was so blown away by Felder's playing that they invited him to join the Eagles the very next day. He quickly became an integral part of the band, contributing his guitar skills and songwriting talents to their sound. On the Border was a turning point for the Eagles. It showcased their evolving sound, with a mix of country rock and harder rock elements. The album's lead single, Already Gone, featured a fiery guitar duet between Frey and Felder, setting the tone for the band's new direction. While Already Gone didn't reach the top of the charts, it paved the way for their first #1 hit, Best of My Love. This song, a smooth and soulful ballad, topped the charts on March 1, 1975, marking the first of 5 chart toppers for the band. The album also included a cover of Tom Waits' song Old 55 and the single James Dean, which didn't chart as high as their other hits, but still resonated with fans. The Eagles' popularity soared in 1974 when they took the stage at the legendary California Jam Festival. This massive event, dubbed the Woodstock of the West Coast, attracted over 300,000 music lovers and featured other rock heavyweights like Black Sabbath, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Deep Purple. Parts of the show were even broadcast on ABC television, introducing the Eagles to a wider audience and showcasing their electrifying stage presence. Interestingly, Don Felder missed out on this epic performance because he was busy welcoming his son into the world. Jackson Browne stepped in to fill his shoes, playing piano and acoustic guitar alongside the band. On June 10, 1975, the Eagles released their 4th studio album, One of These Nights, a game-changer that propelled them to international superstardom. This album was the first in a string of 4 consecutive #1 albums, solidifying their place as one of the most successful bands of the era. The Henley Frey songwriting powerhouse continued to dominate, with the title track becoming their second chart-topping hit. Frey even called it his all-time favorite Eagles song. The album's second single, Lion Eyes, reached #2 on the charts and earned them their first Grammy Award for Best Pop Performance by a duo or group with vocal. The final single, Take It to the Limit, written by Meisner, Henley, and Frey, was the only Eagles song to feature Meisner on lead vocals and also reached #4 on the charts. The Eagles embarked on a massive world tour to support the album, further solidifying their global reach. The album itself was nominated for a Grammy Award for Album of the Year, and the band even graced the cover of Rolling Stone magazine in September 1975. To top it off, they joined Linda Ronstadt, Jackson Browne, and Toots and the Maytals for a concert in front of a massive crowd at Anaheim Stadium. One of these nights marked the end of an era for the Eagles, as it was the last album to feature founding member Bernie Leadon. Leadon, who had a hand in writing 3 songs on the album, including the peaceful I Wish You Peace, wasn't happy with the band's changing direction. He loved country music, but the Eagles were leaning more and more towards rock and roll, leaving Leadon feeling creatively stifled. His frustration, mainly aimed at Frey, exploded one night when Frey was excitedly talking about the band's future plans. Leadon, in a moment of anger, poured a beer over Frey's head and told him to chill out. Talk about a dramatic exit. After months of speculation, it was finally confirmed in December 1975 that Leadon was officially out of the band. But the Eagles weren't about to let their momentum fizzle out. They quickly found a replacement, the talented guitarist and singer, Joe Walsh. Walsh had been friends with the band for years and had already made a name for himself with his previous bands, the James Gang and Barnstorm. He was known for his wild and unpredictable personality, which initially worried Henley, but his musical skills were undeniable. With the addition of Felder and Walsh, the Eagles' sound shifted even further away from their country roots, embracing a harder rock edge. However, Felder also had to fill Leadon's shoes, learning to play banjo, pedal steel, and mandolin for their live shows. It was a challenge, but Felder rose to the occasion, proving his versatility as a musician. In 1976, the Eagles unleashed their first compilation album, Their Greatest Hits, 1971-1975, which became a chart-topping sensation. It was the best-selling album of the 20th century in the United States, with a whopping 38 million copies sold, solidifying the band's status as the most successful American act of the decade. The album was a collection of their biggest hits, a testament to their incredible songwriting and musicianship. But the Eagles weren't content with just resting on their laurels. Later that year, on December 8th, they released their 5th studio album, Hotel California. This album marked a shift in their sound, as it was the first to feature Joe Walsh on guitar and vocals, replacing Bernie Leadon. It was a departure from their earlier country rock sound, embracing a more polished and rock-oriented style. The album's first single, New Kid in Town, became their 3rd #1 hit, but it was the title track that would become their most iconic song. Hotel California, with its haunting melody, enigmatic lyrics, and unforgettable guitar solo, topped the charts in 1977 and became an instant classic. The song's mysterious lyrics sparked countless interpretations, some even claiming it was about Satanism. The band dismissed these rumors, with Don Henley explaining in the documentary History of the Eagles that it was actually about the dark side of the American dream and the excesses of the era. Hotel California became the Eagles' signature song, a timeless anthem that captured the spirit of a generation and cemented their place in rock and roll history. The Eagles' Hotel California album was a powerhouse of hits, not just with the iconic title track, but also with the hard-rocking Life in the Fast Lane. This song, fueled by Joe Walsh's guitar skills, became a staple on rock radio stations and solidified Walsh's place in the band. It was the 3rd and final single from the album, reaching number 11 on the charts and showcasing the band's evolution into a harder rock sound. The album also featured the melancholy ballad Wasted Time, which closed out Side 1 and reappeared as an instrumental reprise at the beginning of Side 2. The final track, The Last Resort, was a complex and philosophical song that Glenn Frey described as Don Henley's masterpiece, while Henley himself saw it as fairly pedestrian and unfinished musically. It's a testament to the band's diverse perspectives and creative tensions. A little Easter egg for vinyl enthusiasts. The run-out groove on Side 2 of the record has the inscription, VOL is 5-piece live, revealing that the instrumental track for Victim of Love was recorded live in the studio without any overdubs. However, Victim of Love was a source of contention within the band, particularly for Don Felder. He claimed that he had been promised the lead vocal for the song, having written most of the music. But after numerous failed attempts to capture a satisfactory vocal performance from Felder, band manager Irving Azoff took him out for dinner as a distraction, while Don Henley secretly recorded his own vocals for the song. This move caused a rift between Felder and the rest of the band, highlighting the power dynamics and creative tensions that were brewing behind the scenes. Despite the internal conflicts, Hotel California went on to become a legendary album, ranking at number 37 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. It's the band's best-selling studio album, with over 26 million copies sold in the US alone and over 32 million worldwide. Hotel California was a massive success, winning Grammy Awards for Record of the Year and Best Arrangement for Voices. The song Life in the Fast Lane further solidified Joe Walsh's place in the band, showcasing their new hard rock sound. However, the intense touring schedule and creative differences took a toll on the band members. Randy Meisner, a founding member, abruptly left the band in 1977. He had been struggling with stomach ulcers and was unable to consistently hit the high notes in his signature song, Take It to the Limit. When he refused to sing it as an encore at a Knoxville concert due to illness, tensions flared with Glenn Frey, leading to a heated backstage confrontation. Meisner, feeling ostracized, decided to quit the band and return to his family in Nebraska. His last performance with the Eagles was in East Troy, Wisconsin, on September 3, 1977. The band quickly replaced him with Timothy B. Schmit, who had previously taken over for Meisner in the band Poco. This change in lineup marked a significant shift in the band's dynamic and sound. Despite the internal conflicts, the Eagles continued to collaborate with other musicians. In 1977, the band, minus Don Felder, contributed to Randy Newman's album Little Criminals, providing instrumental work and backing vocals for songs like the satirical hit Short People. Riding the wave of success from Hotel California, the Eagles dove into the studio in 1977 to start recording their next album, The Long Run. But this project turned out to be a marathon, not a sprint. It took them a whopping 2 years to finish, and their original plan for a double album was scrapped due to a shortage of songs. The Long Run finally hit the shelves on September 24, 1979, and while some critics felt it didn't quite live up to the brilliance of Hotel California, it was still a massive commercial success. The album soared to number 1 on the charts and sold a staggering 7 million copies, proving that the Eagles' popularity was still sky high. It also produced 3 top 10 singles. Heartache Tonight, which became their final song to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, along with the title track The Long Run and the soulful ballad I Can't Tell You Why. The band even snagged their 4th Grammy Award for Heartache Tonight, solidifying their status as one of the biggest bands in the world. During the recording sessions, the Eagles also got into the holiday spirit, recording 2 Christmas songs, Funky New Year and Please Come Home for Christmas. The latter was released as a single in 1978 and became a surprise hit, reaching number 18 on the charts. The success of The Long Run solidified the Eagles' place in rock history. But behind the scenes, tensions were brewing, and their relationships were starting to fray. In 1979, the Eagles continued their collaborative spirit, lending their vocal talents to Boz Scaggs' hit single, Look What You've Done to Me. Frey, Henley, and Schmit provided backing vocals, adding their signature harmonies to the smooth and soulful track. It was a testament to their versatility as musicians and their willingness to support fellow artists. However, tensions within the band were simmering beneath the surface. The grueling tour schedule and creative differences had taken a toll on their relationships, particularly between Glenn Frey and Don Felder. The breaking point came on July 31, 1980, at a concert in Long Beach, California. This infamous event, dubbed the Long Night at Wrong Beach, would mark the end of the Eagles' original lineup. The animosity between Frey and Felder reached a boiling point backstage, with the two musicians exchanging heated words and threats of violence. The conflict escalated during the show itself, with Frey and Felder trading insults and barely containing their rage. It was a tense and uncomfortable atmosphere, with the band's internal struggles spilling over onto the stage. As the concert neared its end, Felder reportedly told Frey, "Only 3 more songs until I kick your ass, pal." Frey, in turn, retorted during their performance of Best of My Love, "I'm gonna kick your ass when we get off the stage." The long night at Wrong Beach became a legendary tale of rock and roll infighting, a testament to the egos and tensions that can arise even within the most successful bands. It was a turning point for the Eagles, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a 14-year hiatus. Even though tensions were running high and the band was on the verge of implosion, they still had a commitment to Elektra Records to deliver a live album from their recent tour. So, in 1980, the Eagles went into the studio to mix and produce Eagles Live, but it wasn't exactly a harmonious process. Glenn Frey, already fed up with the band's internal strife, refused to even be in the same room as his bandmates. He stayed in Los Angeles, while the rest of the Eagles worked on their parts in Miami. It was a bizarre and disjointed way to create an album, with the different tracks being sent back and forth via FedEx. Producer Bill Schmit later joked that they were fixing 3-part harmonies courtesy of Federal Express. The album's liner notes, which infamously listed 5 attorneys, simply stated, "Thank you and good night," hinting at the legal battles and acrimony that had plagued the band. The live album did produce one final hit for the Eagles, 7 Bridges Road. This song, originally written by Steve Young, had been a popular part of their concerts, and it reached number 21 on the charts in 1980, becoming their last top 40 single for over a decade. The breakup of the Eagles in 1980 led each member to venture out on their own, navigating the uncertain waters of solo careers. Elektra Records, the band's label, held the rights to any solo albums the members created, adding a layer of complexity to their individual pursuits. While Joe Walsh had already established himself as a successful solo artist in the 1970s, the other members were stepping into uncharted territory. Walsh continued to release albums, with his 1981 album There Goes the Neighborhood achieving commercial success. However, his subsequent releases didn't quite reach the same heights. During this time, Walsh kept busy as a session musician for various artists like Dan Fogelberg and Steve Winwood, even producing and co-writing Ringo Starr's Old Wave album. Don Henley, on the other hand, found considerable success as a solo artist. In 1981, he sang a duet with Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac, Leather and Lace, which became a hit. He followed that up with his solo album I Can't Stand Still in 1982, featuring the popular track Dirty Laundry. His next album, Building the Perfect Beast, 1984, was a major success, with hit singles like The Boys of Summer and All She Wants to Do Is Dance, solidifying his place as a solo star. Henley's next album, The End of the Innocents, 1989, was also a critical and commercial success, featuring heartfelt songs like The End of the Innocents and The Heart of the Matter. However, his solo career hit a roadblock due to a contract dispute with his record company, a conflict that wouldn't be resolved until the Eagles reunited in 1994. Following the Eagles' breakup, Glenn Frey took flight with his own solo career, achieving significant success in the 1980s. His debut solo album, No Fun Allowed, released in 1982, included the hit song The One You Love, which reached number 15 on the charts. He followed this up with The All-Nighter, 1984, featuring the top 20 hit Sexy Girl. Frey's music also made its way onto the big screen. He hit number 2 on the charts with The Heat Is On from the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, and then again with You Belong to the City from the Miami Vice soundtrack, which also featured his song Smuggler's Blues. He even made a cameo appearance on Miami Vice in an episode titled After the Song, adding his own guitar riffs to the soundtrack. Frey also contributed songs to the soundtracks of Ghostbusters 2 and Thelma and Louise. While Frey was pursuing his solo career, the Eagles' influence continued to be felt in Hollywood. Cameron Crowe, a former music journalist who had written about the Eagles, made his screenwriting debut with the teen comedy Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The film's soundtrack, co-produced by Eagles manager Irving Azoff, featured solo songs from Henley, Walsh, Schmit, and Felder. The band playing at the school dance even covered the Eagles' hit Life in the Fast Lane. Meanwhile, Don Felder, the Eagles' guitarist, also released his own solo album, Airborne, in 1983. He contributed 2 songs to the soundtrack of the animated film Heavy Metal, and had a minor hit with Bad Girls from his solo album. Timothy B. Schmit, who had replaced Meisner as the Eagles' bassist, didn't just blend into the background. He carved out a successful solo career after the band's breakup, contributing to various musical projects and releasing his own albums. One of Schmidt's early solo successes was the hit song So Much in Love, featured on the soundtrack of the popular teen comedy Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He also lent his vocals to the Crosby, Stills and Nash album Daylight Again, stepping in for David Crosby, who was battling drug addiction at the time. Schmidt's smooth vocals graced 2 of the album's tracks, Southern Cross and Wasted on the Way. His vocal talents also shone on Toto's Toto 4 album, where he provided backing vocals for songs like the iconic ballad I Won't Hold You Back. He even joined Toto on their 1982 European tour, sharing the stage with the renowned rock band. From 1983 to 1985, Schmit toured with Jimmy Buffett and his Coral Reefer Band, adding his unique sound to their tropical rock vibes. In 1987, he released his second solo album, Timothy B., which spawned the top 40 hit Boys' Night Out and the adult contemporary hit Don't Give Up. Schmidt's collaborations extended beyond the Eagles and his solo work. He, along with Meisner and Walsh, provided backing vocals for Richard Marx's debut single Don't Mean Nothing. In 1992, he and Walsh joined Ringo Starr's all-star band, touring and even appearing in a live video from the Montreux Jazz Festival. In a surprising twist, the Eagles' music experienced a resurgence in the country genre with the release of the tribute album Common Thread, The Songs of the Eagles, in 1993. This collection of their classic hits, reimagined by various country artists, sparked renewed interest in the band and their music. Travis Tritt even insisted on having the long-run-era Eagles appear in his music video for Take It Easy, a move that hinted at a potential reunion. And indeed, the following year, after 14 years of separation, the Eagles officially reunited. The lineup consisted of the 5 members from the long-run era, Frey, Henley, Walsh, Felder, and Schmit, along with additional musicians to support them on stage. In their first live performance in April 1994, Frey jokingly declared, "For the record, we never broke up. We just took a 14-year vacation." The 2 shows were recorded for a live album and an MTV special, both titled Hell Freezes Over, a reference to Henley's famous quip about the band's reunion. The album was a massive success, debuting at #1 on the Billboard album chart and selling over 6 million copies in the US. It featured 4 new studio songs, including the hits Get Over It and Love Will Keep Us Alive, proving that the Eagles still had the magic touch. After their long hiatus, the Eagles spread their wings once again and embarked on a reunion tour in 1994. However, the tour hit a snag when Glenn Frey had to undergo surgery for diverticulitis, a painful condition affecting the digestive system. The band resumed their tour in 1995, continuing to perform their iconic hits to sold-out crowds around the world. In 1998, the Eagles soared to new heights when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. For this special occasion, all 7 past and present members, including Bernie Leadon and Randy Meisner, reunited on stage for a memorable performance of their classic hits Take It Easy and Hotel California. It was a magical moment for fans, a reminder of the band's enduring legacy and the power of their music to bring people together. The Eagles continued to tour throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, breaking records with their high ticket prices and thrilling audiences with their timeless music. However, tensions behind the scenes remained, and in 1999, during concerts in Las Vegas and Los Angeles, Don Felder played his last show with the band. In February 2001, Don Felder was fired from the band, sparking a legal battle that would expose the tensions and disagreements that had been simmering beneath the surface for years. Felder, who had been a member of the Eagles since 1974, claimed that he was wrongfully terminated and sued the band, Henley, and Frey for $50 million in damages. He alleged that Henley and Frey had unfairly demanded a larger share of the band's profits, leaving him and the other members with significantly less. Felder accused them of using threats and coercion to get him to sign an agreement that favored them financially. Henley and Frey's attorney, Daniel M. Petrocelli, defended their decision, stating that they had the legal right to remove Felder from the band due to creative differences and a lack of chemistry. He argued that this was a common occurrence in rock bands and that Felder's lawsuit was frivolous. But the legal battle didn't stop there. Henley and Frey countersued Felder for breach of contract, claiming that he had violated a confidentiality agreement by writing a tell-all book about his time in the band. Felder's book, titled Heaven and Hell: My Life in the Eagles, 1974-2001, detailed the band's internal struggles, power dynamics, and creative tensions. The legal battles between Don Felder and the Eagles raged on into the early 2000s. In 2002, the Los Angeles County Superior Court consolidated his two lawsuits into one, with a trial date set for 2006. However, after years of legal wrangling, the case was finally settled out of court in 2007 for an undisclosed amount. While the specifics of the settlement remain confidential, it marked the end of a contentious chapter in the band's history. Despite the legal drama, the Eagles' music continued to resonate with fans. In 2003, they released a new greatest hits album, The Very Best Of, which included tracks from their entire career, from their debut album to their reunion album, Hell Freezes Over. This two-disc compilation was an instant hit, reaching number 3 on the Billboard charts and eventually achieving triple platinum status. The album also featured a new single, Hole in the World, a heartfelt tribute to the victims of the September 11th attacks. That same year, the Eagles' friend and fellow musician, Warren Zevon, enlisted the help of Henley, Walsh, and Schmit to record his final album, The Wind. It was a poignant collaboration, as Zevon was battling terminal cancer, and the album became a testament to his enduring spirit and love for music. In 2005, the Eagles released a new 2-DVD set, Farewell Worst Tour Live from Melbourne, which featured 2 new songs, Frey's No More Cloudy Days and Walsh's One Day at a Time. A special edition released in 2006 even included a bonus CD with 3 additional new tracks that were intended for their upcoming studio album. These songs, No More Cloudy Days, Fast Company, and Do Something, offered a glimpse into the band's future direction and gave fans hope for a new album. In 2007, the Eagles spread their wings once again with a new single, How Long, a catchy tune penned by J.D. Souther, a frequent collaborator of the band. It was a hit, marking their return to the music scene after a long hiatus. On October 30th of that year, the Eagles released their first album of entirely new material since 1979, titled Long Road Out of Eden. This double album was a testament to their enduring creativity and musical prowess. However, it was initially available exclusively through their website, Walmart, and Sam's Club stores in the US, a unique distribution strategy for the time. The album was a massive success, debuting at number 1 in several countries and earning multiple platinum certifications. Don Henley even hinted that it might be their last studio album, a statement that would later be reconsidered. In 2008, the Eagles embarked on a world tour to support the album, aptly named the Long Road Out of Eden Tour. It was a massive undertaking, spanning multiple continents and drawing huge crowds. They even performed at the newly built Rio Tinto Stadium in Utah, making history as the first concert ever held at the venue. The tour continued into 2009, culminating in a final concert in Lisbon, Portugal. But the Eagles weren't done yet. In 2010, they joined forces with the Dixie Chicks and Keith Urban for a stadium tour across North America. The following year, they headlined the Hop Farm Festival in England, proving their enduring popularity and their ability to captivate audiences across genres. In 2013, the Eagles took a trip down memory lane with the release of History of the Eagles, a documentary that chronicled their incredible journey from humble beginnings to rock and roll superstardom. This insightful film was accompanied by a massive... Tragically, in January 2016, Frey passed away at the age of 67. The cause of death was a combination of rheumatoid arthritis, acute ulcerative colitis, and pneumonia, which he developed while recovering from intestinal surgery. The loss of Frey was a devastating blow to the band and their fans. At the 58th Annual Grammy Awards, the remaining Eagles, joined by lead-on, touring guitarist Stuart Smith and co-writer Jackson Browne, performed a touching tribute to Frey with a rendition of Take It Easy. It was a poignant moment that celebrated his life and musical legacy. Despite the loss of Glenn Frey, the Eagles decided to spread their wings once again in 2017, headlining the Classic West and Classic East concerts with Frey's son, Deacon, and country musician Vince Gill, stepping in for the late guitarist. They continued touring into 2018 and 2019, with Henley's son Will even joining as a guitarist. In a touching tribute to their late friend Dan Fogelberg, the Eagles released their first studio recording without Glenn Frey, a cover of his song Part of the Plan, in 2017. This marked a new era for the band, one without their iconic frontman. The Long Road Out of Eden tour continued, with footage from the 2018 leg released as a concert TV special on ESPN, and a live album, Live from the Forum MM8, released in October 2020. It was a testament to the band's resilience and their ability to continue making music without Frey. In 2019, they took on a special project, performing their legendary album, Hotel California, in its entirety during a series of concerts in Las Vegas. But it was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They resumed touring in 2021 and continued into 2022, bringing their iconic music to fans across the US and Europe. However, in 2022, Deacon Frey announced his departure from the band to pursue a solo career. In July 2023, the Eagles announced their farewell tour, the Long Goodbye Tour, with Deacon Frey joining them for select dates. However, the month also brought sad news with the passing of founding bassist Randy Meisner at the age of 77. The band released a statement expressing their grief and acknowledging Meisner's significant contributions to their early success. Despite these changes, the Eagles' legacy continues to soar. Their music remains as popular as ever, and their tours continue to sell out. Although the band has expressed doubts about recording another studio album, their focus on performing their greatest hits for their loyal fans ensures that their music will continue to entertain and inspire for years to come.